The US Constitution, signed in 1787, serves as the supreme law of the United States. This masterfully crafted document, born out of a desire for freedom and justice, is the backbone of our nation's legal and political system. It's not just a piece of parchment with fancy handwriting. It's a symbol of the democratic principles that govern our land. The Constitution is the bedrock of all American laws and rights. It meticulously outlines the structure of our government, defining the roles and powers of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Moreover, it delineates the relationship between the federal government and the states, ensuring a balance of power that's crucial to our system of federalism. This document, however, isn't static. It has evolved over time through amendments reflecting the changing needs and values of our society. Today, we'll take a journey through the amendments made to this remarkable document in chronological order. First up, we have the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments ratified in 1791. This essential document forms the cornerstone of American liberties. Let's take a whirlwind tour through these amendments. The First Amendment is a powerhouse. It guarantees the freedom of speech, religion and press, and the right to peaceably assemble and petition the government. This means you can say what you believe, worship how you wish, and criticize the government without fear of punishment. The Second Amendment, often a topic of heated debate, guarantees the right to bear arms. The Third Amendment, less controversial, protects citizens from having to quarter soldiers in their homes during peacetime. The Fourth Amendment safeguards against unreasonable searches and seizures. This means law enforcement needs a warrant to search your home or seize your property. The Fifth Amendment is all about protecting the rights of the accused. It includes the right to due process, protection against self-incrimination, and protection against double jeopardy. Next, the Sixth Amendment guarantees a fair and speedy trial by jury and the right to confront witnesses and have legal representation. The Seventh Amendment ensures the right to a jury trial in certain civil cases. The Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. The Ninth Amendment is a little less specific, but no less important. It states that the rights listed in the Constitution are not exhaustive and that the people retain other rights not specifically mentioned. Last but not least, the Tenth Amendment emphasizes the principle of federalism, reserving powers not delegated to the federal government to the states or the people. These amendments laid the foundation for individual liberties in the United States. They may be over 200 years old, but their importance and relevance remain undiminished. They protect us, guide us, and remind us of the freedoms we cherish and uphold as a nation. So, next time you exercise your right to free speech or enjoy the privacy of your home, remember the Bill of Rights, the bedrock of these cherished liberties. Moving along, we have Amendments 11 through 15, spanning from 1795 to 1870. First up, the 11th Amendment, ratified in 1795. It's a bit of a legal tongue-twister, but essentially it restricts the ability of individuals to bring suit against states in federal court. This amendment arose from a Supreme Court case, and it's all about balancing state and federal powers. Next, we have the 12th Amendment, ratified in 1804. This one shook up the presidential election process. Previously, the candidate with the most votes became president, and the runner-up became vice president. Imagine running a race and then having to team up with your competition. The 12th Amendment changed this by requiring separate votes for president and vice president. Then comes the 13th Amendment, ratified in 1865, right after the Civil War. This one is straightforward but monumental. It abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. This amendment marked a significant turning point in American history and began the long journey towards civil rights. After that, we have the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868. This amendment is a powerhouse, addressing citizenship rights, equal protection, and due process. It essentially declared that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens and entitled to the same rights and protections. Finally, we reach the 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870. This one granted voting rights regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. However, it's important to note that it wouldn't be until much later that these rights were truly protected for all, especially for women and minorities. These amendments brought about significant changes, particularly in terms of civil rights and the structure of our government. Next up, Amendments 16 through 20, enacted between 1913 and 1933. Let's dive right in. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, was a game-changer for American economics. This amendment gave Congress the power to tax income directly. So every time you groan at tax season, you have this amendment to thank. Fast forward to 1919, and we see the ratification of the 18th Amendment, which ushered in the era of Prohibition. This amendment made it illegal to manufacture, sell or transport alcoholic beverages across the United States. However, this amendment didn't quite go as planned, leading to an increase in crime and the rise of speakeasies. Just a year later, in 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, marking a significant milestone in the women's suffrage movement. This amendment prohibited the denial of the right to vote based on sex, essentially granting women the right to vote. It was a monumental step towards gender equality in the United States. The 20th Amendment, ratified in 1933, adjusted the dates for terms of office for Congress and the President. This amendment, often referred to as the lame duck amendment, shortened the time between Election Day and the beginning of presidential, vice presidential and congressional terms. Lastly, we have the 21st Amendment, also ratified in 1933. This amendment is unique as it's the only one to repeal a previous amendment, specifically the 18th. It officially ended the era of Prohibition, making it legal once again to manufacture, sell and transport alcohol. These amendments reflected the changing times and societal shifts of the early 20th century. Finally, we have the most recent amendments, 21 through 27. Our journey starts with the 21st Amendment. Passed in 1933, it repealed the 18th Amendment, effectively ending the era of Prohibition. No longer was the manufacture, sale and transportation of alcoholic beverages illegal, quenching the thirst of many Americans. Next up, the 22nd Amendment limited the presidency to 2 terms, or a maximum of 10 years if they assumed office via succession. This amendment, ratified in 1951, was a direct response to Franklin D. Roosevelt's 4 terms in office. The 23rd Amendment, ratified in 1961, granted citizens of Washington, D.C. the right to vote in presidential elections, something they hadn't been able to do before. Amendment 24, ratified in 1964, prohibited any poll tax in elections for federal officials. This was a significant step in eliminating barriers to voting. The 25th Amendment, ratified in 1967, clarified the line of presidential succession and procedures for filling a vice presidential vacancy. It also provided measures for cases where a president is unable to perform his duties. The 26th Amendment, ratified in 1971, lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. This came at the height of the Vietnam War, with the argument that if you were old enough to fight for your country, you were old enough to vote. And finally, the 27th Amendment. Interestingly, this amendment was proposed in 1792, but wasn't ratified until 200 years later, in 1992. It prohibits any law that increases or decreases the salary of members of Congress from taking effect until the start of the next set of terms of office for representatives. These amendments, though fewer and further between, continue to shape and refine our nation's laws and rights. And there we have it, all 27 amendments to the US Constitution. Each amendment, from the very first Bill of Rights to the most recent, has played a significant role in molding the United States into the nation it is today. These amendments, these cornerstones, are more than just words on a page. They are the living, breathing embodiment of our nation's evolution. They've seen us through wars, through social upheaval, and through leaps in technological progress. They've upheld our fundamental freedoms and rights, and when necessary, have adapted to reflect our changing values and aspirations. The power of these amendments lies not just in their legal authority, but also in their capacity to inspire, to challenge and to guide us towards a more perfect union. They remind us of where we've been and point the way towards where we want to go. From the Bill of Rights to the most recent amendment, these changes to the US Constitution continue to impact our lives every day.